My partner is gone. That's the fact I need to start with. Darnell Price. 9 years on the team. Badge number 4412. His truck, Unit 7, a 2019 Ford F-350 with the amber light bar and the WDOT auxiliary markings, was found on the shoulder at mile marker 174 on I-80 westbound, 3 miles past the Elk Mountain interchange. Engine running. Heater on. Driver's door closed. His radio was on the seat. His seatbelt was unbuckled. His thermos was still warm. No tracks in the snow leading away from the vehicle. None leading toward it, either. The snow was fresh. Maybe 20 minutes of accumulation. But the truck had been stationary for at least 45 minutes based on the GPS log. So there should have been tracks. His. Someone's. Something's. There were none. I need to explain how we got to that point, because you need to understand what we were told, and what we did, and what happened to the people we were supposed to help. I'm a highway emergency responder for the Wyoming Department of Transportation, District 1, based out of the Laramie Maintenance Yard. My name is Neil Carver. I've been on the winter response team for 6 years. Our job during storm events is to patrol assigned segments of I-80 between Cheyenne and Rawlins, about 180 miles of interstate that crosses some of the most wind-exposed terrain in the lower 48. The stretch between Laramie and Rawlins, particularly the section over Elk Mountain and through the Walcott Junction corridor, is nationally notorious for blizzard closures. In a bad winter, I-80 through southern Wyoming can be closed 60 or 70 times. When a closure is in effect, the gates come down. Physical barrier gates at each interchange, with flashing beacons and variable message signs. No one is supposed to pass them. But people do. They run the gates. They go around them. And then they get stuck somewhere between interchanges in zero visibility conditions, and that's when we go out. The response team consists of 12 operators split across 3 shifts during active storm events. We work in pairs, each pair assigned a segment. We drive heavy-duty trucks equipped with push bumpers, tow straps, amber light bars, emergency supplies, and two-way radio tied into both whiteout dispatch and Wyoming Highway Patrol. Our job is threefold: assist stranded motorists, coordinate with law enforcement on accidents, and perform welfare checks on vehicles reported as disabled or abandoned along the corridor. It is, in normal circumstances, straightforward work. Cold, dangerous because of the traffic and the wind, but procedurally clear. You find the vehicle. You check on the occupants. You either help them get moving or you call for a tow and transport them to the nearest community. Every interaction is logged. GPS tracked. Radioed in. The storm that hit on February 8th was classified as a Category 3 winter event by our Operations Center, the highest severity tier we use. Forecast was for sustained winds of 50 to 65 miles per hour with gusts above 80, combined with 8 to 14 inches of snow over a 12-hour window. Visibility was expected to drop to near zero across the Elk Mountain corridor. The closure order went out at 10 a.m. for the stretch between Laramie, exit 311, and Rawlins, exit 215. Gates down at all interchanges by 10:30. Our shift, the second rotation, came on at 1400 hours. 6 of us. 3 teams. Darnell and I were assigned the segment from exit 235 at Walcott Junction to exit 184 at Elk Mountain. 51 miles of closed interstate. At the 1400 hours briefing, our shift supervisor, Greg Kinsella, gave us the standard rundown. Current conditions. Wind speeds. Visibility. Known vehicle locations from the morning team. There were 4 disabled vehicles already flagged in our segment, 1 jackknifed semi at mile marker 211, 2 passenger vehicles on the shoulder near 198, and an RV at 189 that the morning team had been unable to reach due to conditions. Then Greg told us about the memo. "Before you head out," he said, "there's something that came through operations this morning that I need to read to you." He had a single printed page. I could see it was formatted differently from our standard operational bulletins. Those come on whiteout letterhead with routing codes and distribution stamps. This page had none of that. It was plain white paper with black text. No header. No signature block. No routing information. Greg read it. I'm going to reproduce what it said as closely as I can from memory, because the printed copy was collected by Greg after the briefing and I never saw it again. During active response operations in the closure corridor, the following operational constraints apply effective immediately. 1. Do not approach any vehicle that is running its hazard lights in a pattern of 3 flashes followed by a pause. Mark its GPS location and proceed past without stopping. 2. If a motorist you are assisting asks you what time it is, do not answer. Change the subject or state that your watch is not working. Do not check your phone or dashboard clock in their presence. 3. Do not assist any motorist who is outside their vehicle and walking toward your truck if they are walking against the wind direction without visible difficulty. 4. If dispatch gives you a vehicle location that you have already passed and confirmed as empty, do not return to it. 5. Between mile markers 168 and 172, do not stop for any reason. If your vehicle loses power in this area, remain inside with all lights off until power returns. Greg read it flatly, the way he reads everything. When he finished, the room was quiet for about 5 seconds. Then Marcus Powell, he'd been on the team longer than any of us, 14 years, said, "Where'd that come from?" Greg looked at the page. It was in the operations packet from Cheyenne this morning. Came through the overnight fax alongside the closure authorization. There's no signature on it, Marcus said. No. No routing code. No. So who issued it? Greg set the page down on the table. I called Cheyenne at 8 o'clock when I saw it. They confirmed it was in the packet. They said to disseminate it as written. Did they say who wrote it? They said it was in the packet. Marcus looked at the rest of us. None of us said anything. I remember Darnell shifted in his seat next to me and exhaled through his nose the way he did when something irritated him. Greg, Darnell said. Those mile markers. 168 to 172. That's not in our segment. That's west of Elk Mountain. That's in Team 3's area. I know. So why are we all hearing this? Greg didn't answer for a moment. Then he said, because conditions may push your operational area. And because I was told to read it to everyone. That was it. We loaded our trucks, checked our radios, and drove out. The conditions were exactly as bad as forecast. By the time Darnell and I cleared the Elk Mountain interchange at 14:45, visibility was under a quarter mile and dropping. The wind was a constant physical force against the truck, not gusting, but pressing, like a hand that never lifted. The interstate was empty ahead of us. Closed. Nothing but white and the faint ghost of the median cable barrier to our left. We drove westbound. First priority was the RV at mile marker 189 that the morning team hadn't been able to reach. At 15:10, we found it. A Class C motorhome, white and tan, pulled onto the right shoulder with its rear wheels in the ditch. It was running. Exhaust vapor was visible. The hazard lights were on. I was driving. I slowed and began pulling in behind it. "Wait," Darnell said. I looked at the RV's hazard lights. They were blinking in a normal pattern. Flash, 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 flash. Regular. Steady. "It's fine," I said. "That's a normal pattern." "Yeah." He paused. "Yeah, okay." I pulled in behind the RV. We did a standard approach, amber light bar on, high beams on, both of us out of the truck. Darnell went to the driver's side door. I went to the passenger side and knocked on the side panel. A woman opened the driver's door. Mid-50s, gray hair, heavy coat. She was frightened but coherent. Her husband was in the back. They'd been stuck since 11 a.m. when they'd tried to make it to Rollins before the full closure took effect. Misjudged the distance. Hit the ditch. Couldn't get traction. Standard. We pulled them out with the tow strap, checked their vehicle, confirmed they had enough fuel, and escorted them to the Elk Mountain interchange to exit. Logged it at 15:42. Radioed into dispatch. Clean. We turned back westbound. At mile marker 198, we found the two passenger vehicles the morning team had flagged. Both empty. Doors closed. No occupants. The morning team's log said they'd already transported the drivers back to Elk Mountain that morning. Normal. We confirmed and logged it. At mile marker 204, we found a vehicle that wasn't on our list. A dark blue Chevrolet Tahoe, parked on the left shoulder, the median side, which is unusual. People don't usually pull to the left unless they've lost control and come to rest there. But this vehicle was neatly positioned, parallel to the lane, as if deliberately parked. Engine off. Lights off. "That's not in the brief," Darnell said. He checked the tablet mounted to our dash, which shows all flagged vehicles in our segment. Nothing at 204. "Want to call it in first?" I asked. "Just pull up. We'll check." I pulled alongside, driver's side to driver's side. Darnell rolled his window down. The cold hit like a wall. He wiped his eyes against the wind and looked into the Tahoe. "Can't see. Windows are fogged." I pulled forward and angled behind it. We approached on foot. Darnell knocked on the driver's window. Nothing. He tried the door handle. Locked. He walked around to the passenger side. Also locked. He pressed his face close to the glass, cupping his hands around his eyes. "Empty," he said. "Positive. Nobody's in it. No personal effects either. No bag, no phone, no trash. It looks like it just rolled off the lot." I radioed dispatch. "Dispatch, Unit 7, we've got an unlisted vehicle on the left shoulder at mile 204 westbound. Dark blue Chevrolet Tahoe, appears unoccupied. Requesting registration check." Dispatch came back about 2 minutes later. "Unit 7, we're showing no plate match for your location. Can you confirm the plate number?" I walked to the rear of the vehicle. There was no plate. No plate bracket. No dealer tag. No temporary registration in the window. Just the flat rear panel and the mounting holes. Dispatch, Unit 7. No plate present on the vehicle. Copy, Unit 7. We'll flag it for law enforcement follow-up. Mark it and proceed. We tied an orange flag to the antenna, our standard marker for vehicles checked and confirmed empty, and continued west. At 16:15, the visibility dropped to nearly zero. True whiteout. The kind where you can't see your own hood emblem. We slowed to 10 miles per hour, following the rumble strips by feel. At mile marker 207, our radio crackled. Unit 7, dispatch. Go ahead, dispatch. Unit 7, we have a report of a disabled vehicle at mile marker 204 westbound. Passenger vehicle, dark color, left shoulder. Can you respond? Darnell looked at me. Mile marker 204. We'd just been there. 12 minutes ago. Dispatch, Unit 7. We just checked that vehicle. Dark blue Tahoe. Unoccupied. We flagged it at 16:03. Silence for a few seconds. Unit 7, this is a new report. Came in from, there was a pause, like the dispatcher was checking something, from a motorist's cell phone. They report a person inside the vehicle waving for help. Dispatch, we confirmed the vehicle empty at 16:03. Windows fogged but no occupants visible. Copy, Unit 7. Can you return and recheck? Darnell put his hand on my arm. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. And I thought about the fourth instruction. If dispatch gives you a vehicle location that you have already passed and confirmed as empty, do not return to it. Dispatch, I said, we're currently past mile 207 and conditions are zero visibility. We'll flag it for the next eastbound pass. Copy, Unit 7. We didn't go back. I want to be clear about something. I had never, in 6 years of this work, ignored a welfare call. If someone reports a person in a vehicle waving for help, you go. That's the job. That's the only reason we're out there in conditions no sane person drives in, because someone might need us. And we didn't go. Because a piece of paper with no signature and no routing code told us not to. I felt sick about it for the next 20 minutes. Darnell didn't say anything, but his jaw was set the way it got when he was angry. At himself, usually. At mile marker 211, we reached the jackknifed semi. It had been there since that morning, according to the log. A Peterbilt with a refrigerated trailer, folded across both westbound lanes. The morning team's notes said the driver had been transported to Rollins by Highway Patrol at 9:30. The truck was waiting for a heavy wrecker that couldn't get through in current conditions. I pulled up behind it with our amber lights on. We were going to check it, standard procedure for any flagged vehicle on each pass, and then turn around, because beyond 211, the road was physically blocked by the semi. Darnell opened his door to walk up and confirm the cab was still empty. He was out for maybe 3 minutes. When he came back, his face was different. Neil. What? There's someone in the cab. The driver was transported at 9:30. There's someone in the cab. Who? I don't know. A man. He's sitting in the driver's seat. He looked at me. Did you talk to him? I knocked on the door. He didn't open it. He just looked at me. And then he asked me what time it was. The second instruction. The one about time. What did you say? I didn't say anything. I came back to the truck. We sat there for a moment. The wind rocked the F-350 on its springs. The semi ahead of us was just a dark shape in the white, maybe 50 feet away. We should go check, I said. Yeah. Both of us. Yeah. We walked up together. The Peterbilt's cab was high, you had to climb the steps to reach the door. I went up on the driver's side. Darnell took the passenger side. I cupped my hands against the glass and looked in. The cab was empty. I could see the whole interior. Sleeper compartment behind, curtain open. No one. No bag, no personal items. Just the standard cab interior, dark and cold. Darnell. I called over the wind. Nothing here either. I climbed down. We stood between the vehicles. The snow was hitting us horizontally, building on our left sides, caking our goggles. You saw someone, I said. I saw someone. 3 minutes ago. Yeah. There was nowhere to go. We were on an open interstate with no trees, no structures, no cover for miles in any direction. The semi's trailer was sealed, padlock on the rear doors, which I checked. No tracks in the snow around the vehicle except ours. We went back to our truck. I radioed it in, choosing my words carefully. Dispatch, Unit 7. Welfare check on the jackknifed unit at mile 211. Cab confirmed unoccupied on second inspection. No one present. Copy, Unit 7. Log it and continue. We turned around. Eastbound now, back toward Elk Mountain, covering the same stretch we'd already driven. At mile marker 204, the Tahoe, I slowed automatically. I could see the shape of it through the whiteout. Still there. Still on the left shoulder. Our orange flag was gone. The vehicle was in the exact same position. But the flag we'd tied to the antenna was no longer there. And the antenna was gone too. The roof was smooth. As if the vehicle had never had an antenna. And the hazard lights were on. They hadn't been on before. The vehicle had been dark. Now the hazards were flashing. I counted. Flash. 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 Pause. Flash. 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 Pause. 3 flashes. Pause. 3 flashes. Pause. I accelerated past without stopping. Neither of us said a word for the next 10 miles. At 17:20, we reached the Elk Mountain interchange and pulled into the rest area to refuel from the auxiliary tank and eat something. The wind was still screaming, but the rest area had a concrete block restroom building that provided a windbreak. We parked behind it. Darnell ate half a sandwich and stared out the windshield. I drank coffee from my thermos and checked the tablet for updates. There was a new notification from dispatch. A welfare check request. Mile marker 172. Our segment ended at 184. Mile marker 172 was in Team 3's area. Marcus and his partner, Gene Aoki, who were covering from Elk Mountain west to exit 156 at Sinclair. But the request was flagged to all units. Unit 3, Unit 7, all units. Report of a disabled vehicle at mile marker 172 westbound. Single occupant. Please advise which unit can respond. Marcus answered immediately. Dispatch, Unit 3. We are currently at mile 158 eastbound. We will not respond to mile 172. That location is within the exclusion window. Exclusion window. That wasn't standard terminology. That was Marcus using his own words for the instruction about mile markers 168 to 172. There was a long pause from dispatch. Unit 3, can you clarify? What exclusion window? Dispatch, the operational memo distributed this morning. We are not to stop between 168 and 172. Another pause. Unit 3, we don't have a copy of that memo in our system. Can you reference the routing code? There is no routing code. It was in the fax packet from Cheyenne. Ask Kinsella. The dispatcher didn't respond to that. Instead, Unit 7, can you respond to mile marker 172? Darnell looked at me. Mile marker 172 was 12 miles past the western end of our assigned segment. In these conditions, it would take us 45 minutes minimum. And it was in the zone. Dispatch, Unit 7. Negative. We are within our assigned segment and unable to extend in current conditions. Copy all. Will attempt to reach Unit 5. Unit 5 was the third team, Hernandez and Todd, covering the segment east of ours. They were even further away. They didn't respond to the request. The welfare check at mile marker 172 was never resolved. I checked the logs the next day. No unit responded. No follow-up was dispatched. At 1800 hours, darkness had fully set in. The storm was not letting up. If anything, the winds had increased. The trucks on board weather station showed gusts to 73 miles per hour, and the snow was denser, wetter. We were supposed to be relieved at 2200 hours, but conditions would determine whether the night shift could even get out to us. We resumed our westbound patrol. The road was a tunnel of white in our headlights. The only sound was wind, the engine, and the slight rattle of the push bumper mounts. At mile marker 191, our headlights caught something on the right shoulder. A figure. Standing next to a vehicle. The vehicle was a minivan, silver, newer model. It was on the shoulder with its flashers on, in a normal pattern. Regular. The figure was a man in a dark jacket, standing at the rear of the van, facing the interstate. Facing us. I slowed. Standard approach distance, 50 feet back. He's outside the vehicle, Darnell said. Yeah. Which way is the wind? I thought about it. The wind was from the west-northwest. We were heading west. The man was on the right shoulder, facing east. Toward us. He was facing into the wind. West wind, he was facing east. That meant he was, no. Wait. If the wind was from the west, and he was facing east, then the wind was hitting his back. He was facing away from the wind. Winds from the west, I said. He's facing east. Winds behind him. So he's not walking against the wind. He's not walking at all. He's standing. The rule said walking toward your truck against the wind. Right. He's not doing that. No. I pulled closer. The men didn't move. Didn't wave. Didn't step toward us. Just stood there, hands at his sides, face aimed in our direction. Darnell rolled his window down. Sir. Are you all right? Do you need assistance? The men didn't respond. The wind carried Darnell's voice away eastward, so it was possible the men couldn't hear. "I'll go," Darnell said. He got out and walked toward the men. I watched through the windshield. Darnell was leaning into the wind, hunched, his high-vis jacket rippling. He approached to within 10 feet of the men. They stood like that, facing each other, for what I'd estimate was 15 seconds. Then Darnell turned and walked back. Quickly. Not running. But quickly. He got in the truck and closed the door. "Go," he said. "What?" "Drive." "Darnell, what?" "Neil." "Drive." I drove. I didn't ask again until we were a mile past. My hands were shaking and I didn't know why. Darnell's tone had done something to my autonomic system that rational thought hadn't caught up with. "Talk to me," I said. Darnell was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was controlled but thin. The man was facing me. I got close. Close enough to see his face. He looked normal. Regular guy. 50s, heavy-set, clean-shaven. Had a jacket on but no hat, no gloves. Which is wrong for this weather but not impossible. "Okay." He opened his mouth and he said, "What time is it?" A cold wire went through my chest. And I didn't answer. I just looked at him. And then I looked down, Neil. I looked at his feet. What about them? He didn't have any. I took my foot off the gas. He didn't have feet. Below the ankles. His pants, his jeans, they just ended. And there was nothing under them. No shoes. No feet. No ground contact. The snow was blowing under him. Under where his feet should be. There was a gap. Between whatever he was and the ground. Darnell. And the van. I looked at the van. The flashers were on. And the van's front wheels were turned into the shoulder, the way a parked car should be. But the van didn't have a rear end. The back half of the van wasn't there. It just stopped. Midway back. Like someone had drawn half a vehicle and gotten bored. And where the back should be, there was just snow. Falling where the tailgate should be. Going through the space. I was going 60 now. I shouldn't have been going that fast in those conditions. I didn't slow down for another 2 miles. At mile 193, I pulled over. I put the truck in park. My hands were vibrating on the wheel. "We need to radio this in," I said. "And say what?" He was right. What would we say? I found a man with no feet hovering above the snow next to half a vehicle. They'd pull us off the road and send us for psych eval. In the middle of a Category 3 storm. When we were 2 of 12 people keeping this corridor alive. "Okay," I said. "Okay. We don't report the details. We continue patrol. We follow the memo. The memo nobody signed. Yes. The memo that told us exactly what would happen. Yes. We sat in silence. The truck swayed. The heater hummed. Then Darnell said something quiet. "They weren't rules to protect us, Neil." "What?" "They aren't safety rules. Think about it. Every one of them is about not helping someone. Don't approach the vehicle with the flashing pattern. Don't answer the question. Don't assist the person walking wrong. Don't go back. Don't stop. What's your point? Someone knows what's out here. And the instructions aren't about keeping us safe. They're about not feeding it. I didn't have an answer for that. I still don't. We continued westbound. Mile 198. The two passenger vehicles from earlier, still empty, still flagged. We logged them without stopping. Mile 200. Nothing. Mile 202. Nothing. Mile 204. The Tahoe was gone. Not moved. Gone. The shoulder was empty. Undisturbed snow where the vehicle had been. I slowed and passed through the area. There was no tire track, no oil stain, no impression. Nothing had ever been there. I didn't stop. We didn't discuss it. At mile 211, the jackknifed semi was still there, still blocking both lanes. We performed our turnaround procedure, using the cable barrier gap, and headed back east again. At 19:30, we received a dispatch call. Unit 7, dispatch. Go. Unit 7, we have a direct request from Highway Patrol. A family, a woman and 2 children, called 911 from a disabled vehicle at approximately mile marker 176. They report their car is stuck in the median and they cannot maintain heat. Requesting immediate response. Mile marker 176. 4 miles from the edge of the exclusion zone. I looked at Darnell. He looked at the tablet. The GPS showed us at mile marker 200, 24 miles away. 40 to 50 minutes in these conditions. Dispatch, Unit 7. Mile marker 176 is outside our assigned segment. That's Unit 3's area. Unit 7, Unit 3 is non-responsive. We've been trying them for 15 minutes. Highway Patrol is requesting anyone who can reach them. Non-responsive. Marcus and Jean hadn't answered their radio in 15 minutes. What about their GPS? Darnell asked me quietly. I checked the tablet. All units are GPS tracked in real time. Unit 3's dot was at mile marker 169. In the exclusion zone. Stationary. 4. I checked the timestamp, 22 minutes. Dispatch, I said, my mouth dry, can you confirm Unit 3's status? Their GPS shows them stationary at mile 169. Unit 7, we're aware. We have not been able to raise them. That's why we're routing to you. Darnell took the radio from me. Dispatch, Unit 7. We will respond to the 176 welfare call. En route now. ETA approximately 40 minutes. Copy, Unit 7. Advising Highway Patrol. He looked at me. We have to. I know. There are children. I know, Darnell. 176 is outside the zone. It's 4 miles clear. I know. I put the truck in gear. We drove west. The next 35 minutes were the longest of my life. The whiteout was absolute. I navigated by GPS and rumble strips, nothing else. The world outside our headlights had ceased to exist. There was only the strip of asphalt immediately ahead, fading into white, and the console glow, and the hum of the heater, and Darnell breathing beside me. At mile marker 184, the western edge of our assigned segment, I felt something change. Not in the storm. In me. A weight. not physical. Something like the feeling you get standing at the edge of a high place. Not vertigo but awareness. The sudden knowledge that the ground could end. At 180. At 179. At 178. At 177, my headlights caught a shape in the median. A sedan. Dark red. Buried to its wool wells in the median snow. Flashers on, regular pattern. I could see small shadows moving inside. The children. I pulled onto the right shoulder, activated our full light bar, and turned to Darnell. "I'll go," he said. We both go. No. One of us stays with the truck. That's protocol in zero-vis conditions. He was right. If we both walked into the median and got disoriented, we could lose the truck. In these conditions, losing the truck meant death. Okay. Radio me every 60 seconds. Copy. He got out. I watched him cross the eastbound lanes, which were also closed and empty, and descend into the median. His high-vis jacket was a yellow smear in the white. He reached the sedan. He knocked on the window. I saw the window open. He leaned in. He was talking to someone. 60 seconds. I keyed the radio. Darnell, check. Copy. I've got a woman and 2 kids. Ages, maybe 6 and 10. Car died about an hour ago. They're cold but okay. I'm going to walk them back to the truck. Copy. I watched. Darnell helped the woman out of the driver's side. She was clutching a blanket around herself. Then the 2 kids, small shapes, bundled. Darnell picked up the smaller one and held the older child's hand. They started walking toward my headlights. They were moving slowly. The wind was ferocious. The woman kept her head down. The older child stumbled. Darnell was leading them across the eastbound lanes. 30 feet from the truck. 20. My radio crackled. Unit 7, dispatch. Go, dispatch. Unit 7, be advised. We've just received an updated location on the 176 call. The family is reporting from the median at mile marker 173. Not 176. Repeat, mile marker 173. Please update your response. I looked out my windshield. Darnell was 15 feet from the truck with a woman and 2 children. Dispatch, I'm looking at the family right now. We found them at approximately 177. They're with us. Silence. Dispatch, confirm. Unit 7, we're still showing the 911 call as active. The caller is on the line right now. She says she's at mile marker 173 and no one has come. Darnell opened the rear door of the truck. The woman climbed in. The children climbed in. He closed the door. Walked around to the passenger side. Got in. They're secure, he said. Let's get them back to Elk Mountain. I stared at him. I opened my mouth. Then I looked in the rearview mirror. The back seat of our truck was empty. No woman. No children. No blankets. No snow melt on the seats. Nothing. Darnell. He turned around. For 3 full seconds, he stared at the empty back seat. Then he faced forward, put both hands flat on the dashboard, and said in a voice I barely recognized, "Drive east. Now." Don't stop. I drove. I drove fast. Too fast for conditions, I know that. I held the wheel at 10 and 2 and followed the rumble strip and I drove. We didn't speak until mile marker 184. Until we were back in our segment. At 184, I slowed to a normal speed. The weight I'd felt at the boundary, whatever that was, lifted. Not completely. But enough. They walked to the truck, Darnell said quietly. I saw them. I carried the little one. I felt her weight. She was cold. Her jacket was wet. I saw you. They got in. I heard the door close. I felt the truck rock when they climbed in. I know. And they were never here. I couldn't answer that. I drove. At 2040, we radioed dispatch and reported that we'd been unable to locate the family at mile 176 and that conditions prevented further search. Dispatch acknowledged. Highway Patrol said they'd attempt a response when conditions improved. I don't know if there was a real family at mile 173. I don't know if the 911 call was genuine. I don't know what climbed into our truck and vanished. We returned to Elk Mountain and parked at the rest area. The night shift had been delayed by road conditions and wouldn't relieve us until midnight at the earliest. We were supposed to remain available. At 21:15, Darnell said he needed to drive to the fuel point at mile 174, 3 miles west of the interchange, to top off from the auxiliary tank kept there. I'll come, I said. No, stay here. Monitor the radio. I'll be 10 minutes. Darnell. It's 3 miles, Neil. I'll be on the radio the whole time. He took the truck. I stood in the lee of the restroom building and watched his tail lights disappear westward into the white. He radioed me at 21:20. At the fuel point. Topping off. Copy. He radioed me at 21:25. Done. Heading back. Copy. He did not arrive. At 21:35, I radioed him. No response. At 21:40. No response. At 21:45, I called dispatch and reported Unit 7 as non-responsive. Highway Patrol found the truck at 22:50. Mile marker 174. Engine running. Heater on. Driver's door closed. No occupant. No tracks. The search lasted 4 days. They covered every foot of I-80 from Elk Mountain to Rollins after the storm cleared. Nothing. Dogs were brought in. Nothing. An aerial survey by Civil Air Patrol found nothing. Darnell Price is, officially missing. Marcus and Jean. Unit 3. Their truck was found at mile marker 169 at 2300 hours that same night. Also running. Also empty. Also no tracks. Also no explanation. Both of them. Gone. 4 people off one shift. The official report attributes the disappearances to exposure-related disorientation during extreme weather conditions. The theory is that all 4 operators exited their vehicles for unknown reasons and became lost in whiteout conditions, succumbing to hypothermia in locations not yet recovered. No bodies have been found. The memo, the one Greg read to us, is not in any whiteout file I can access. I've looked. The morning fax log shows the closure authorization, the weather brief, and a staffing notice. No 5th page. Greg says he remembers reading it to us. He says he collected it afterward and put it in his desk. It's not there. He says he doesn't know where it went. I asked Cheyenne. They have no record of sending it. The person I spoke to suggested I might be confusing it with a safety advisory from a different storm event. I'm not confused. Hernandez, who was on the shift that night, remembers the briefing. He remembers the 5 instructions. Todd remembers them too. We've all written them down separately from memory and compared. They match. But there's nothing official. Nothing in the system. Nothing on paper. I went back to mile marker 204 2 weeks after the storm. Clear day, 20 degrees, light wind. The shoulder where the Tahoe had been was just shoulder. Normal gravel, normal snow bank. I parked and walked the area. I found nothing. I drove to mile markers 168 through 172. I drove through them without stopping. Everything looked normal. Open highway, clear sky, the Elk Mountain Massif visible to the south. Nothing strange. Nothing felt wrong. But I noticed something. At mile marker 170, there's a chain-link fence on the south side of the right-of-way. It encloses what looks like an old equipment staging area, concrete pad, no structure, some rusted posts. Whiteout property, based on the fencing style. There's a sign on the fence. Standard whiteout maintenance sign. Yellow background, black text. It says, "No stopping anytime," which is normal for a maintenance area. But underneath that, in smaller text that I had to get out of my truck to read, it says something else. I've checked 3 times. The text is real. It's been there a while, the letters are faded. It says, "Do not answer if asked." I don't know when that sign was made. I don't know who made it. It's a whiteout sign. Same font, same material, same mounting hardware as every other sign in the district. I've put in my transfer request to District 3, Sheridan, the Northern Corridor. Different roads. Different terrain. No Elk Mountain. No corridor. The transfer is pending. Last week, I was driving home from the Laramie Yard after a day shift. Clear weather. Low wind. March afternoon. I was on US 287, which runs parallel to I-80 for about 12 miles south of the interstate. At approximately the point where 287 runs closest to the I-80 corridor, maybe 8 miles south of it, I looked north toward the interstate. There was a vehicle on the shoulder of 287. A blue Tahoe. New looking. No plates. Its hazard lights were on. Flash. 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 Pause. I did not stop. I drove past at highway speed and did not look in my mirrors. When I got home, I checked my dashcam footage. There's nothing there. The shoulder is empty in every frame. No vehicle. No lights. Clear pavement, snow bank, empty. But in one frame, one single frame, at the timestamp corresponding to my GPS position when I saw it, there's a shape in the passenger seat of my own truck. It's blurry. It could be a reflection. A light artifact. A compression error in the video codec. It could be anything. It looks like a man. He's not looking at the camera. He's looking at my dashboard clock.